Hello, what's up mga kabsat? Good evening, good evening. Alright, bukas na guys ang inaabangan natin, inauguration ng ating nag-iisang PBBM. So, makichika tayo sa mga mangyayari bukas. Anyway, for now, mag-music muna tayo. Play. Go! Introduction muna tayo mga kabsat.
May bagong silang, may bago ng buhay, bagong bansa, bagong galaw, sa bagong lipunan, nagbabago ang
Shout out, Ma'am Evangeline Camilosa.
tungo sa pagpunlan at ating itanghal bagong lipunan.
May umiiyak guys. Good evening, Ma'am Liz. Good evening, Ma'am Susan Aloya.
Na ang magdamag, madaling araw ay nagdiriwang, may umagang namasdan, bumiti ng pag-asa sa umagang anong ganda. May bagong silang, may bago ng buhay, bagong bansa, bagong galaw, sa bagong lipunan, nagbabago ang lahat tungo sa pag-unlad at ating itanghal bagong lipunan. May bago ng buhay, bagong bansa, bagong galaw, sa bagong lipunan, nagbabago ang lahat tungo sa pag-unlad at ating itanghal bagong lipunan.
Mga bawang pasok, huwag kalimutan mag-like and subscribe.
Lipunan.
Bong, bong, Sara! Bong, bong, Sara!
Ay, English niya pa sinabi.
Naputol. Isa pa guys. Yan eh. Prosperity. May fallback na si Miss Reza sa Indonesia. Taga doon naman talaga siya. Yun eh. Sabi ni Prophetic Perspective. Good evening, Ma'am Myra Oyan.
Bakas ng kahapon ay lumipas, paghilom na rin sa wakas. Itong tamang panahon.
Lahat ba nakamove on na kay Rappler, guys? Shout out, Ma'am Jenita Salar. May galap shout out. Pag-asa, sama-sama tayong babangong muli. Pagbigkasin muli ang ating lahi. Sama-sama tayong babangong muli.
Ito na ang sandali. Ganap ng kahirapan, nagtatanong lahat ng kasagutan. Pandemya na nararanasan, magtulong-tulong
Dala-dala'y pag-asa. Sama-sama tayong babangong muli.
Pagbigkisin muli ang ating lahi. Sama-sama tayong magbangong muli. Ito na ang sandali.
Shout out Ma'am Liz, shout out Sir Tony Nonabla.
Sa bayan nating inibig, ikaw ng puso at damdamin. Ramdam namin iyong diringgin. Ito ang tamang panahon upang tayo ay umahon sa bagong umaga.
Dala-dala'y pag-asa. Sama-sama tayong babangong muli.
Pagbigkisin muli ang ating lahi. Sama-sama tayong babangong muli. Ito na ang sandali. Sama-sama tayong babangong muli. Pagbigkisin muli ang ating lahi. Sama-sama tayong babangong muli. Ito na ang sandali.
Alright. Good evening mga kabsat. Naririnig ba si Maestro, guys? Biglang eksakto yung patapos na yung kanta ni Don Kenko, biglang nagloko yung ating mic, no? Yan. Naririnig ko sa cellphone. So, meaning positive. Shout out, guys, mga kabsat, no? Kamusta? Good evening po sa lahat. Welcome po sa live ni Maestro. Shout out ulit kay Ma'am Evangeline. Ilang oras na lang, presidente na si BBM. Yes! 12:00 ng tanghali, mga kabsat. Sama-sama tayong manonood bukas, guys, no? Happy dinner po, Idol Maestro from Ma'am Liz. Ayan. O sa mga gustong umakyat dyan, guys, no? Binaba ko dyan yung link ng StreamYard para magkwentuhan tayo dito. Good evening, Ma'am Mirna. O, yan. May fallback si Miss Reza sa Indonesia. Taga doon naman talaga siya. Sabi naman ni Prophetic Perspective. Janita Solar. Hi, Maestro. Pa-shoutout naman, please. Shoutout sa iyo, Ma'am Janita Solar. Watching from Tagum City, Mirna Oyan. Super duper excited na po ako sa inauguration ni Pangulong BBM. Yehey! Ang saya-saya ng madlang Pilipino. Tama ka dyan, Ma'am Liz. Naimbag na Rabi! Sabi naman ni Sir Tony Nonabla of Japan. Good evening, Ma'am Leticia Chapyosen. Shout out. Sarap ng kain ni Master. Kakagutom. Kwan lang yon, boy bawang lang po. Iyon eh. Anong oras ang inauguration ni BBM? As far as I know, it's morning. May nakita ko sa, I think sa CNN. Mag-i-start sila ng covering nila, I think 9 o'clock. Not unless may bago, no? Pero alam ko umaga. It's really umaga po. Kasi nga tanghali, yun na yung mag-i-start ng kanila pagiging official ng Pilipinas. Mga elected officials. Ay, anong oras magla-live bukas, Maestro? As early as mas maaga sa 9 o'clock malamang po. Kasi papakiramdaman ko pa kung sino yung mga yung mga magko-cover na mga pwede. Hindi natin pwedeng gamitin yung SMNI. For sure magko-cover sila. Naghahanap ako ng pwede, sabi nila UNTV daw. Eh, tinitingnan ko kung magko-cover sila bukas. Parang wala akong nakikitang advertisement nila. SMNI, may nakita na ako. Ko-cover talaga sila. CNN, nakita ko rin. So, iniisip ko baka ako baka makapiright tayo ni CNN. Anyway, pakiramdaman tayo bukas. Ano? So, ayun mga kabsat, no? Ang topic natin ngayon, mga kabsat. At walang iba, kundi ang Rappler na naman, mga kabsat, no? Rappler, hindi daw enemies ng administrasyon. Yun. Totoo ba? Totoo ba? Naniniwala ba kayo, guys? Okay, share natin to, guys. Share natin to. Bago natin i-share yung statement mismo. Tapos guys, papakinggan natin. Nag-press con sila kanina, nag-live press con. Pinapakinggan ko yung hinaing nila. Nag-usap-usap sila, guys. Tapos sabi nila, may kasama silang attorney, si Attorney Lim yata 'yon. Eksakto naka-live sila, pinapakinggan ko kaninang umaga. Pagkatapos ng live ko kanina, ayun, nakita ko naka-live yung Rappler. Nagkaroon sila ng press con on the spot. Okay, ito po, share ko lang, guys, no. Statement to ni guys, ha, ni Nobel Prize. Alright, so ito, bakit di ko may palabas? Okay, share screen. Ayan. Ito, shinare ko na sa wall ko actually. Okay, so anong masasabi niyo dito? Mga kabsat, anong reaction niyo dito? Okay, sabi dito guys, no? May message si CEO ng Rappler. Okay, sabi niya, Rappler under Marcos administration. Ayan. Or admin. We're not your enemies. Maybe we were your friends. Palagi yan, malakpakan. Ang galing ng drama ngayon. Dramatic na sila. Guys, ano nangyari sa Rappler? Oh, no. Wait. Huwag kang tutunog. Tanggalin ng sounds. Yan. Biglang. Mga kapsat. Oh, we're not your enemies. In short, we're friends. Okay, sabi niya, I hope for the best. We can only hope for the best and given the track record of the campaign. Given the track records of 36 years, I think the burden of proof is actually on the incoming administration. I continue to appeal to the incoming administration to work with journalists. We're here to help you to give a better future of the Philippines for the Philippines. My God. anak ng tibak lang, my guys. So, kailan pa nangyari to? My God, we're not your enemies. Maria Ressa. Patay tayo dyan. Pika P. Is this a joke? Pikachu. Mga batal. Ano nang masasabi nyo dyan? Parinig naman ng kanyo. Comment nyo. Or gusto ko magbasa ng comment nyo muna. Sabi ni Sir Elmer Solano, what? Kaya nga Sir Elmer, no? Mapapawat ka na lang. As in guys, yung statement niya ngayon, bumaligtad. Nagpapaamong tupa na siya ngayon, no? We are not your enemies, sabi niya. Oh my God. Bumaliktad Rappler, wawa naman. Ma'am Liz, tama. Parehas tayo ng inisip. Bakit? Kaya nga yung ko dito, yung caption ko dito sa aking wall. Basahin ko lang Parehas tayo ng iniisip na bumaliktad. Sabi ko dito, aba! Umiba agad ihip ng hangin. Nakalimutan niyo atang pinaggagawa niyo sa mga Marcos lalo na yang Rambong Butiki. Goodbye, Rappler. Haha, gungunayo kiddi. Ayan, guys. Ay, gulay kamatis, oo. Oh, statement yan ni Maria Ressa ni Nobel Prize kanina. Biglang bait-bait ang Rappler. Tama ka, Sir Tony, no? Biglang bumait. My God! Nagbigay siya ng statement ng ganyan. It's a miracle. Ba? Nako po. Hindi naman malamang hindi naman tayo magpapaloko diyan, no? Alam na kasi nila kung saan sila pupunta. Sorry to say, pero ganun talaga. Kunwari lang yan, sabi naman si Tita Chapyosan. Sabi naman ni Ma'am Evangeline Camiloza, sabihin mo sa mga palaka na kamukha mo, Maria Ressa. Ay, grabe. My God. Mga kabsat. It's so good. Kung meron yung so good to be true, yung statement ni Madam. So good to be true. Bakit? For the several months, especially yung nag-start yung campaign, no? Never na naging ganyan, na naging sasabihin nilang kakampi nila yung administration. Anong pinagagawa nila sa mga Duterte, di ba? Tapos nung nag-decide si Marcos na tatakbo, anong pinagagawa nila? Tapos ngayon, yan ang statement. We're not your enemies. Baliktad ang mundo. Ay, nako. O guys, kayo nang humusga. Okay, meron tayong mas dyan, guys. Meron tayong mas deeper. Basahin natin. Let me share, guys. Okay, tanggalin muna natin. Pasok CNN News. Ipasok natin si CNN ito. Okay, I hope nakikita nyo. Rappler, CEO Ressa to Marcos admin. Work with journalists. We are not your enemies. Yan. CNN Philippines. Okay. Basahin natin ito. Anong oras to? Kanina lang to. 4:52 ng hapon. So that's less than 4 hours ago. Published June 29 today. By the first. Ayan, guys. So, lako. Okay. Metro Manila CNN, June 29, online news organization Rappler is facing a shutdown order from the Security and Exchange Commission or SEC just days before the administration of President Rodrigo Duterte ends. SEC affirms order to shut down Rappler. But Rappler CEO and the 2021 Nobel Peace Prize, Lorit Maria Ressa said Wednesday that she is hoping for the best and that the incoming administration of the President-elect Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos will work with journalists. Anak ng tipaklong. Nag-work naman na, matagal na guys, no? Matagal na nakikipag. Hindi lang sa inyo. Hindi lang sa inyo, Rappler, no? Wag lang sa inyo kasi kayo, baliktad ang mga pinagsasabi nyo. Tingnan nyo yung ginawa nyo sa mga BBM vloggers. Tingnan nyo yung mga ginawa nyo sa mga history. Diba? Kung ano mga pinapalabas nyo sa mga history ng mga Marcos. Mga paninira na ginawa nyo. Tapos sasabihin yung kakampi. For the best of the country. May gulay naman. Oy. Okay, tuloy natin to. We can only hope for the best, sabi niya guys. Given the track record of the campaign, given the track record of 36 years, I think the burden of proof is actually on the incoming administration, Ressa said in the briefing. Hours after confirming the issuance of the closure order. Yun. Aray ko, Lord. Masakit ba? Ako. Ressa said, it will be speculative to link the Marcos camp involvement in that issue. But she acknowledged that the administration of the president-elect has the ability to show that it can strengthen the rule of law. Yun eh, may pag ganun-ganun na naman ito. President Marcos, where he goes, we all go. Naman! So who wants to see this? There are accountability issues that I hope he deals with, Reza noted. But in the end, it is the world right now and we're going to have a collaborative to make it better. Talaga lang Talaga lang Bakit parang iba yung ihip ng hangin ngayon, Reza? Reza also called the fellow journalism to uphold their rights. Ayan guys, Because if we give it up just a little bit, we are going to lose. Hindi pa ba? Hindi pa ba? Sabi nga nila, karma is real. Ano na? Ano na? Anong pakiramdam? Ano na? Ang hilig niyo gumawa ng kwento. Ngayon, haharapin niyo pinaka-problema niyo ngayon. Kaso guys, nakikita natin, tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang Rappler kahit may order na ang Comelec and Bank. Some journalists, particularly reporters from Rappler, naman, syempre, sino pa nga ba, have repeatedly conveyed in part of difficulties in interviewing Marcos, even during the campaign period. 2 months ago, in one of the Marcos sorties in Quezon City, his entourage of the security personnel and media relationship officers allegedly harassed and blocked a Rappler reporter covering his campaign. Even Marcos' chief of staff and now executive secretary designate Vic Rodriguez ignored questions from the news outlet in the middle of the briefing last month. Bakit pa kayo bibigyan? Alam mo, babaliktarin nyo naman ang sitwasyon, di ba? May gulay naman, Alam nyo kasi, Rappler, gusto nyo kasing palabasin yung gusto nyo lang palabasin. Never kayo naging neutral. Real talk lang, sa totoo lang. Ayan, yan tuloy. Gungunayo. Marcos, along with then running mate and now Vice President-elect Sara Duterte, were also frequent skippers in the President and Vice Presidential debates hosted by the different new organizations that tackles pressing problems that are crucial for aspirant of the top post. Marcos said before that he would rather talk to the people directly about his plans for the country. Tama. Meanwhile, Rappler said that it is prepared to exalt of all existing legal remedies all the way up to the highest court. Lawyer Francis Slim said DERCAM has 15 days to file a petition for a review of the Court of Appeals and the SEC cannot enforce a shutdown during the appeal period. Ayun. May 15 days daw guys para mag-appeal sila sa Court of Appeals. The SEC on Wednesday confirmed an issuance of its 2018 order to revoke the certificates of incorporation of Rappler Incorporation or Incorporated and Rappler Holding Corporations, claiming that the Court of Appeals already upheld its findings that the news organization sold control to foreigners. Yan. Pero Rappler previously allowed foreigners investors, a media network, to hold Philippine depository receipts or the PDRs, a financial instrument that foreign entities can buy for financial returns in a local company but not in the form of dividends, which are tied to ownership. The June 28 order was signed by SEC Chairperson Emilio Aquino and Commissioners J.B. Paul Francisco, Kelvin Lesterly, Carlo Bello, and Max Hill Brian Fernandez. The news company had repeatedly said in the past that the PDRs do not give foreign ownerships, right? It's also maintained that the news organization is owned and managed by Filipinos. Nako, pinaniniwalaan nyo to guys. Yung nagsasabi ni Rappler. Namaya guys, papakinggan natin yung kanila, yung press con nila. Oo, na mga kabsat. Ano man nasabi nyo? Shout out Mamad Lemik, andito pala. Good evening Maestro and to all. Noel Channel, mega love shout out. Ma'am Lynn Garcia, gandang gabi Maestro Paul at sa lahat ng mga viewers. Ayun. Kaboom! Sabi ni Elmer Solano. Paano kasi wala nang naniniwala sa kanila kaya nagbait-baitan na sila, sabi naman ni Cynthia Relveria. Ka-BBM Vlog, mega love shoutout. Gandang gabi Maestro Paul TV. Ano na ang ganap? Ito, ano, yung nagkwekwentuhan na natin. kung siraan nyo ang mga Marcos, lalo na si BBM at pati mga BBM vloggers ay inuupakan nyo. Gusto nyong i-isolate si BBM. Kaya nga, no, gusto kasi nila, magkaroon sila ng red carpet. Yung ibig ko sabihin, libre silang interviewin si BBM o kahit sino nang gusto nilang ma-interview. Yan ang yung gusto nila eh. Bigyan sila ng special treatment, kumbaga. Di ba? Tapos magdadrama-drama sila, no? Hinarang ako ng mga PSG, sorry, hindi pala PSG. Yung mga, parang tawag doon, mga official guards nila. So, ayun. O ano na ngayon? Ngayon, babait-baitan kayo. Sasabihin nyo, hindi kayo kaaway ng administrasyon. Samantala, anong pinaggagawa nyo for the several years? Di ba? Hindi nyo nga ginawa kay Pinoy yan nun, di ba? Inumpisahan nyo kay Duterte. O ano kayo ngayon? Naspak punada, di ba? Patay tayo dyan. So ano, mga absan, naniniwala ba kayo sa pinagsasabi nito? Enemy kayo ng mga magandang balita dahil sa kasanilingan, pagbabaligtad nyo sa mga totoong pangyayari. Tama ka dyan, Ma'am Peli Fontanilla. Ang hilig nila mambaligtad. Lalo na yung ginawa nila sa mga BBM vloggers, yung si Kwan, itong si Rambo Butiki. Sorry. Ayan eh. Hindi lang yon, di ba? Kung paano nasupalpad yung mga ibang reporters like si Lian, si Pia. Sa mga yan, top 3 reporters nila, no? Na vloggers din lang. Patay tayo dyan. Ako, wala na talaga. O ngayon guys, nagkaroon sila ng press conference kanina lang. Kaninang, pagkatapos natin nag-live kanina, nakita ko. Sige, pakinggan natin guys. Again, shoutout guys sa mga nandito. Huwag kalimutan mag-like and subscribe. Sa mga bagong pasok, maraming salamat po. Once again po, huwag kalimutan mag-like and subscribe po. Thank you guys. Alright, pakinggan natin guys yung press conference nila guys. No? Actually, hindi naman press conference. Press Zoom conference. Alright. Ayun. Okay guys, idiretso na natin to, no? Pakinggan natin. Yung press con nila, press con. Let me share. Pero syempre, hindi ko share yung mismo copyright na naman tayo ng mga to. Okay, here we go. Share screen. Tapos kayo na magkan guys. Ano magiging reaction nyo? Ay guys, meron pa pala to, no? National Union of Journalists of the Philippines stands together against all attempts to silence us. Ayan, no? Nakahanap sila ng kakampi nila. National Union of Journalists of the Philippines. Malamang mga members nila ito mga. Ito guys, ito na. Wait lang. Nako. Wait lang. Itago muna natin guys wait lang. Yun. Volume.
Okay, we confirm that
Okay. Ongoing na pero guys, kino-connect pa na. We have Francis Lim. Ayun, Attorney Francis Lim. With Maria Ressa.
All right,
Kasi Bea.
everyone.
Ayan. I hope naririnig nyo guys,
We'll
no?
start in a bit, literally a few seconds from now. Thank you for joining us.
Okay.
We are joined
Ayun, no?
by Maria Ressa, of course.
Pasensya na
CEO
guys,
of
hindi ko
Rappler,
pwedeng
and
i-share no, yung video.
Attorney
At least
Francis Lim, our
yung
Chief
usapan
Counsel.
maririnig natin.
We'll start with a statement from Attorney Lim.
hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Hello.
Okay, can I start? No.
Wait lang.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
we confirm that we received a copy of the SEC decision dated June 28, reaffirming its earlier decision to revoke the franchise of Rappler.
Si Attorney Lim yan guys.
With due respect to our friends in the SEC, we strongly disagree with the decision. And fortunately for us, we have legal remedies available to question the decision before our courts of law. So rest assured that we will do so on behalf of the Rappler Group. And we are confident that at the end of the day, we shall prevail. Thank you very much. So we're ready for questions from press, no? Unless Maria wants to make a statement of her own.
No, I think go ahead, Francis. And what I'll do is after, because you have to leave earlier, after that, guys, I can take questions and I can tell you what we did in Honolulu. Go ahead, Francis. Go ahead, guys.
Attorney Francis, can I ask a question?
Karen, how are you?
Hi, Maria. Hi, Attorney. Thank you for holding this call. Sir, when you said legal remedies, what exactly is available to you? The SEC said that the CA decision is final. And so does that mean can you go straight to the Supreme Court, or is the decision still appealable to another venue?
Okay, the present decision that we're now discussing is a decision that can be appealed directly to the Court of Appeals via what we call the legal circle a petition for review. And we have 15 days, I think, from yesterday to file a petition for review, or what we, the layman know, appeal to the Court of Appeals. From the Court of Appeals, we will have a chance to file a motion for reconsideration with the Court of Appeals in case the Court of Appeals disagreed with us. And eventually, we will have the final opportunity to appeal all the way up to the Supreme Court. So it's not the end of the world for us. There's still a very long process to go. And as I said a while ago, or at least intimated, we strongly believe in our case. No? There are cogent and powerful factual and legal grounds to reverse the
Happy birthday,
decision of the
Vlog.
SEC, which we are now discussing. And at the end of the day, we are positive that we can have the revocation of Rappler reversed by the highest court of the land.
Sir, just a quick follow-up. When you said you have legal arguments to counter the SEC's findings, because the SEC seems unconvinced about the action of Rappler and Omidyar when Omidyar donated the PBRs to Rappler staff. So SEC said it did not cure what it says the violation.
Yeah, that's an area of contention. We've cited a long line of cases where the Supreme Court said that transfer of the ownership not to qualified Filipinos would cure whatever defect it is. in the hands of the non-Filipinos. Although in this case, we do not admit that the ownership of the PDRs by the foreigners equates to ownership or equity interest in Rappler Inc. and Rappler Inc. or Rappler Holdings. I've come from the stock exchange, and there is a very big difference between depository receipts and shares of the stock. Okay, so that's one area of contention, and we do hope that due to the significance of this case and its implications, especially on press freedom, the Supreme Court will finally resolve that very important issue.
Thank you, sir.
Ayan
Hi,
guys,
Mr.
si
Lin.
Kwan,
This is
Attorney
Siri
Lim.
Lee from the New York Times. I wanted to ask, notwithstanding these legal appeals, if you ignore this order, and Rappler has indicated that this is business as usual, what are the legal consequences for the journalists and for Ms. Ressa? Thank you.
Well, we believe in the rule of law, and we will never advise Rappler to ignore the order. What we will do is to comply, to do business as usual in full compliance with the SEC directives that were suggested before, and we will take it from there. In no way will we defy or disobey the orders. As I said a while ago, there is recourse to the courts of law, which of course are different from the SEC, which is an administrative agency.
I
So
see.
until our courts of law say that we have to close down by ultimately upholding the SEC decision, it's business as usual for us.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, Attorney Francis, just a follow-up on the previous questions. Is there any legal instrument that will allow, for example, the SEC to enforce this decision when the case is on appeal, which will effectively shut down the operations of Rappler, or not?
That's a possibility, but based on our study, the SEC cannot enforce the decision pending appeal. In fact, no less than the former chairman of the SEC said early on that the SEC will not close down until there's a final decision. And I think there are many options. So the options are not limited to appeal, but we will discuss the other options with the client in due time.
And if, for example, this is a bit hypothetical and speculative already, but if the SEC
I'm sorry, you're breaking up. I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
If, for example, the SEC decides to enforce the order while you're on appeal, would you characterize this as highly irregular based on similar issues that you've encountered in the past where registration document has been revoked and they appealed the decision before the appellate court?
Well, if the SEC does that pending our appeal, one clear legal remedy is to seek temporary restraining order or a preliminary injunction with the Court of Appeals.
And one final question from Ed. When do you have 15 days to file from yesterday?
15 days from receipt of the decision, I think, but
pinapalakas ang loob ni Attorney Lim,
subject to extension.
Rappler?
Of course, with the approval of the Court of Appeals.
Do you have
rest assured that we've started studying the decision that we received yesterday, and we'll appeal in due time, and you'll be the first one to know.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Francis.
Can I ask, or meron pang iba? Hi, Attorney Lim. Lian po. We just wanted to be clarified kasi dun sa order it says that the SEC issued a resolution declaring the case closed and terminated. Could the SEC do that without Rappler going to the SEC? Paano po nangyari yun? And SEC is insisting that it has attained finality and it's in fact in the entry of judgment. So will it trigger another round of appeals via PETREV?
I think that's the SEC was referring to the Court of Appeals decision But if you note that decision of the Court of Appeals said,
Like
remanded the
Vance.
case to the SEC to tell the Court of Appeals the effect of the donation. And for the SEC to come back, to go back to the Court of Appeals and report its findings. So what does that mean in layman's terms? No? That as far as the Court of Appeals is concerned, or at least from the legal, proper legal
Tama, Sir
perspective,
Max.
the Court of Appeals decision has not attained finality. In fact, we filed a manifestation with the Supreme Court that the Court of
Yes,
Appeals
mag-appeal daw sila.
decision
Ma'am
cannot
Jocelyn.
attain finality until the Court of Appeals rules on the effect of the donation based on the report of the SEC. And as of now, all that has happened is a
Hoy,
report
payan
by
si
the
Lian.
SEC to the Court of Appeals, no? As to whether or not
Laging nakabuntot kay
and,
BBM yan.
you know, in the legal world, no, we have this prohibition against multiplicity of suits. No, you cannot, and that's the reason why we, in a special manifestation with the Supreme Court, we said that let's wait for the
Shout out Magnum TV.
decision of the Court of Appeals before after it receives that evaluation by the SEC before considering the Court of Appeals decision final and executory. That's an area of contention that may be raised in the Supreme Court. Yeah, sorry.
Attorney Lim, when did Rappler file the manifestation to the Supreme Court?
I think I don't know the exact date, but when we were supposed to go to the Supreme Court, then after evaluation, we said no. As lawyers, we have to obey the Supreme Court prescriptions against multiplicity of suits, and this is the best way to do. Let's just wait for the Court of Appeals decision that would be based on the report of the SEC. Now, there is a question whether this SEC decision was properly done, and in our view, it was irregular, highly irregular, because we were not given due process during the evaluation stage. You know, what is at issue here is the very corporate existence of a company, not only an ordinary company, but a company that caters to the public good. And you know, due process, which is a
Sige lang, Magnum
constitutional right,
TV.
should
Ibagsak
have
mo yan.
required that we be accorded our day in court before the SEC decided this particular case. So that's another powerful argument in our arsenal to question this decision of the SEC. You know, under our scheme of law, particularly the Constitution, due process is so important, especially when what is at stake is the life of a person, and that includes your juridical entities like Rappler.
Sir, kahit rough lang, was it 2020 and 2020 or 2021 or 2022? Yung
happening.
All right.
That's why we already preempted things by making that manifestation with the Supreme Court. That's my records.
Thank you, sir.
So what's happened today is what happened June 28 was anticipated by us, because when we do handling cases in ACTA law, we prepare for a worst case scenario. So we told our client yesterday, don't panic, just leave things to us. And fortunately, they're listening to us as they have been doing before.
Hello, we have a question from
Oh,
Krishna.
sorry, go Fred.
Oh, sorry.
Sige lang.
Maria?
Any other questions?
Yeah, you're muted.
May tanong pa ba kay attorney?
I thought Maria had internet problems. We have a question from Krishna, who also has internet problems. This is for Maria. How is the mood inside Rappler now? And what have you told your reporters and staff?
Para kay Maria Reza naman yung tanong. Ako, mawawala ta signal na.
I think Maria has internet issues. We can return.
One of the
go back.
Things I will do is put it in the context and throw your legions.
I think Maria has some internet issues, so we'll just go back to Maria later. I think Howard and Camille have questions. Let's go with Howard.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully my internet's working okay, so you can hear me. This is a question actually to Francis Lim. Given that the Omidar network obviously donated the money in the investment in 2018, does it now make that whole case moot, given that essentially there is no question of foreign ownership?
That's precisely our point. If there was any defect at all in the PDRs, no, the defect, constitutional though it may be, have been cured by the donation of the instruments, PDR, to qualified Filipinos, Okay, although the SEC disagrees with us based on this latest decision that we got yesterday, but that's an area which the Supreme Court should rule on.
And do you mind answering like a sort of broader question that really what we're seeing here is the Constitution appears to be cherry-picked. There are some things like in the Bill of Rights that seem to be overlooked, like due process of the law when it comes to people's rights to justice. And yet in this case, what you're saying here is it's a moot point because the money was donated, but the Constitution is being used to try to silence Rappler. So what's the broader issue here with justice in the Philippines at the moment? What's the state of justice in the Philippines right now, in your opinion?
Well, we remain hopeful that justice will be done at the end of the day. Of course, there are bumps along the way, but that's part of life. No? And we remain strongly in the belief, no, that at the end of the day, justice will be done. That's in broad strokes. That's what we in the legal team are really hoping for and praying for. And I hope that with the change in the administration, things will be better, or at the very least, less worse for us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, since Maria's back with Maria's internet is okay again, let's just repeat Krisha's question from earlier. She's not able to connect via video. This is for Maria. How is the mood inside Rappler, and what have you told your reporters and staff?
Ano mga kaganapan sa loob ng building ng Rappler?
You know, we've gone through this before. I think you've seen the way we've reacted to it. We have plans A through Z. It's like quicksand right now, right? If you can't actually count on rule of law, we count on Francis, who, reminder, used to be president of the Philippine Stock Exchange. And that's kind of one reality. And then the other part is, I mean, our goal is to continue holding the line. You've heard me say that forever. We're not going to voluntarily give up our rights. And we really shouldn't. I've continued to appeal for that, because when you give up your rights, you're never going to get them back. The mood, I think stunned, because we got here, but I was stunned the first time I was arrested. And then in less than 2 years, starting in 2019, I had 10 arrest warrants, right? So these new normals should not be normal. We should demand better. And that's what we continue to do.
Well,
we have a question from Camille Alemia.
Hi, Maria. I just want to ask, how will this new ruling affect the reporters' conduct of work and accreditation, given the history that happened to Rappler journalists? And just a follow-up to that, do you think things will be better under a new administration, given what happened during the campaign?
Grabe, Camille. All right, so I will throw this back to Francis. We will stand on rule of law. And since we are fighting for this in courts of law, we will continue to demand accreditation, right? If, as what's happened, I mean, put this in the context of, you know, last week, you have other websites that were blocked, right? There are actions that are being done with impunity, and we must continue to challenge them in court, but we must continue to act in the real world, which is what we'll do simultaneously. We'll continue to do our jobs. Our reporters, you know this, right? We continue to hold the line. We'll continue to report, and we'll continue to demand that access is there. I appeal to journalists in the Philippines, all around the world, that we hold our rights together. Because if we give it up just a little bit, we begin to lose. That's what I start calling death by 1,000 cuts. Did I answer your question? What was the second part of the question, Camille?
Do you think things will be better under the new administration, given what happened during the campaign?
Ang galing ng timing, di ba? It's like a little bit of a handoff. Look, I don't know, but like Francis said, I hope for the best. We can only hope for the best. And given the track record of the campaign, given the track record of 36 years, I think the burden of proof is actually on the incoming administration. I continue to appeal to work to the incoming administration, work with journalists. We're here to help you give a better future for the Philippines. We're not your enemies.
Thank you.
Right,
Camille,
go ahead.
Camille? There was a question earlier on when we filed that manifestation with the Supreme Court, on the Court of Appeals decision not becoming final and executory, contrary to what the SEC has said in this decision. And I now have the record. We filed it in April 2019, just after we received the Court of Appeals decision upholding the earlier decision of the SEC revoking the franchise. So we're covered on that, on the issue of whether or not the Court of Appeals decision has become final and executory. So it was filed. Yes.
It was filed April 2019.
Yes.
I'm just curious because according to the order, there was an issuance dated September 25, 2019 of a resolution by the Supreme Court declaring it closed and terminated. So what's the implication of that? Is our manifestation?
I don't think the Supreme Court was referring to the Court of Appeals decision. So I don't know if I earlier stated we initially filed a motion for extension to file petition for review with the Supreme Court. But after deliberation by the team, we decided that it would be better if we don't pursue the appeal to the Supreme Court from the Court of Appeals at that time and just wait for the new decision of the Court of Appeals based on the report of the SEC, so that we will bring up all matters in the Supreme Court in one go to avoid multiplicity of suits.
Right. So
Shout
just
out,
for
Ma'am
the
Shani
benefit of others, kasi the wording of the order makes it seems like it's final na.
Yes,
so
yes,
once
yes.
again, you're saying it's not.
Yeah, it's not. That's our
Ano,
at least
binibigyan sila ng
our
hope,
view, and we have made the appropriate manifestation with the Supreme Court.
All right. Thank you, Attorney Lim.
Maricar, go ahead.
Yes, good morning. For Maria, you mentioned about the timing the order came out, and Rappler did a very good job covering Marcos during the campaign. Actually, very critical of the, and also about the disinformation and all this misinformation going on. Do you think Marcos has any influence with regard to the order that came out 2 days before he takes his oath? And Attorney
daw ba si
Lim,
Marcos?
just to follow up, Attorney Lim mentioned that he's hoping for things to be less worse under the new administration. Do you share the same? Are you looking forward to share the same opinion? Thank you.
You want me to answer first, Francis, or you want to go ahead?
No, answer first. I think the question is directed more to you, Maria.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for that. Like, I'll just say 3 things, right? Like, and I'll paraphrase some of what Francis has said. We have long stood by the constitutionality of this agreement. It's a Philippine depository receipts. Others have had it. I think that you've heard me state repeatedly over the last 6 years that we have been harassed. This is intimidation. These are political tactics. We refuse to succumb to them. I think the other thing that's interesting is that this is also the first time that the SEC has actually intervened in something that that connects to press freedom issues. And again, as Francis has pointed out, we are bringing it to the courts of law. I'm going to share at the bottom our original statement from January 2018, which was when this happened and we were going to fight it. All right. I didn't answer your
May
question.
bago nga,
Does Marcos
33
have
minutes
any
ago.
influence? Yeah, of
Sige,
course, but
panoodin
it's
natin ito mamaya.
really speculative on my part. You know,
Bye-bye.
like any journalist, any journalist today, what we do is we tell the people we cover. We have standards and ethics. They can hold us to account the same way that we try to hold them account. But in an age where you can actually form your own mini network, right? Or you can choose who you speak with. This is part of the reason we've divided realities. We don't have a shared reality on facts. I appeal to the Marcos administration.
Wow,
You know,
nag-appeal daw
it is a
siya.
tough world out there today. The Philippines actually has a fantastic opportunity right now in terms of geopolitical power play. It isn't all bleak, even though it is a tough time. And I think that, you know, I think that rule of law becomes critical here. The Marcos administration has the ability to show that it will strengthen rule of law. And that's the appeal I have. In terms of why this is happening now, I mean, again, I'm not a mind reader, you know, but I can say we're ready. And we will continue to do our jobs. Ano na, diba? I keep saying we hold the line, we hold the line, we hold the line. We will not voluntarily give up our rights. We will do our jobs.
Ayun eh. Wala daw sukuan, guys. Laban lang.
Do we have anyone else who wants to go on, turn on their cameras or mics? Or because I can just read out some of the questions here. Okay, this one is from Francia. Apologies if I mispronounce your name. Given the current condition of press freedom in the Philippines, what can journalists do more to hold the line, especially under the incoming Marcos Jr. administration? I think this is for Maria.
I think we have to realize that, and I think most of us have already, that the difference with social media and at the East West Center today, you know, the reason why we decided to be transparent about it is because that's what's worked for us. You know, shine the light. I mean, the Washington Post thing is, you know, democracy dies in darkness. So we might as well shine the light. And that's what we continue to try to do. In terms of, gosh, I'm so sorry. I was so focused on that. What was the actual question?
She's asking what journalists can do more to hold
Can
the
do
line
together. Yeah.
under the
Okay.
incoming administration.
All right. So the first is, I think we have to understand it's kind of the three pillars I've always talked about in the last 6 years: technology, journalism, community, right? We need to understand and tell Filipinos that the technology that we're using to
Shout out
deliver
from
the news is
Japanite
actually
TV.
biased against facts. It is biased against journalists and journalism. That lies laced with anger and hate spread faster and further than facts. That what spreads the most is anger, hate, conspiracy theories. We know there are some neighborhoods in the Philippines who believe that they will get gold because they voted, right? These are things that, so this is that kind of insidious manipulation. I think that's the first step. The second is, what really is that, I think the battle is for facts, and it is an existential battle for facts. So one of the things that we can do is work together to strengthen the facts, to demand accountability. And it isn't an aggressive position, you know, for the incoming president-elect. For he takes his oath of office. President Marcos, where he goes, we all go. So who wants to see this? I mean, there are accountability issues that I hope he deals with. But in the end, it's a tough world right now, and we're going to have to collaborate to make it better. That doesn't mean not do our jobs. It does mean hold power to account in a way that is, what's the word? Unity. That unites rather than divides.
Before Attorney Lim has to leave the call, we have a question from Regine Cabato. She's unable to turn on her audio also. But for record and context, how many more cases are there against Rappler and Maria, and a status update on the cases?
Well, the latest status, of course, is this one, which is the one that our team of lawyers in Accra Law is attending to. No? There are a lot of cases. I lost track of the number because the cases other than what in Accra are handling. No? But there are tax cases, there are criminal cases, there is this revocation case. No? But rest assured that we're handling them to the best that we can because we do believe in the cause of our client. No? And I think we're handling this case not only in the ordinary course, but in the what I may call extraordinary, considering the importance and significance of the issues involved. At stake here is a very, very important aspect of our democracy, no? And that's how we're taking this. It's not pure money, it's democracy that we are trying to safeguard. And I think each and every Filipino, from the lowest of member of society to the highest, that should always bear that in mind.
Let me just quickly say the number of cases. I personally have 7, and that's 5 tax evasion, the anti-dummy case, and then the cyber libel, which we're appealing. I think that might mean Rappler has 8 because the SEC case is a civil case, and I'm not named in that, but we can give you, we certainly try to keep count of all of this. We called it death by 1,000 cuts of press freedom, death by 1,000 cuts of democracy. How do we push back? We tell our communities we get stronger together.
Just to add, no, I think, and Maria is right, no, that media should work, no, to support the incoming administration because we are all into this. No? The failure of the new president is the failure of our country. And one thing, sure thing to make this country work is the respect for the rule of law. You may have the best programs, but if you don't have the rule of law, then we can just wish for the best and not achieve anything.
One more question from me for Attorney Francis. Sorry, sir, bago ko umalis. Based on your knowledge on how the SEC operates, well, you said naman kanina probably they will not enforce while we go to court. But meron bang scenario that they physically go to the office and implement the order, like padlocks and all? And how would Rappler respond
best friend niyo si
by
Lian.
not defying the order?
Let me just say this. We have tried to the best of our ability to anticipate all situations, including the worst case
Shout out Anthony Franz.
Okay. Our hope is that people, and I know the SEC, I have a lot of friends there, they're reasonable persons, no? And we can disagree on particular issues, but at the end of the day, I think the SEC works also for the good of the country. I've been supporting them. They have been supporting my advocacies as a private citizen, no? And I think they're well-meaning. I just hope that it stays that way, even with this case. No? There are good people there. Okay, the commissioners, no, I know them, many of them personally. I think some of them were my students, no, and I'm very hopeful. I'm very confident that they will act reasonably.
Thanks, sir.
I think Allison has a question.
Oh, hi. I have a question for Maria. Sorry, apologies. I understand you have more or less said this already, Maria, but I just wanted to get something explicitly clear. Will Rappler continue to operate despite this shutdown order?
Yes, absolutely. We continue to work. It is business as usual. We will follow the legal. There is a process, and we'll follow the legal process. We'll continue to stand up for our rights.
Thanks a lot.
We have a question from Howard.
Hi, yes, just one more question for Attorney Francis Lim. We see the Solicitor General mentioned a few times in the statement. How normal is that, given this is a case brought by the SEC? Why is the Solicitor General intervening so much when you read through that statement?
Well, I think that's part of our system, Howard. The Office of the Solicitor General is the council, no, of administrative agencies like the SEC. And I think they're doing, that's just doing their mandate. Of course, sometimes we feel that incumbent Solicitor General goes overboard, but that's part of the process. Hopefully, with the change of administration, there will be a new Solicitor General. Things will change.
And just quickly, one for Maria as well. I mean, worst case scenario, are there ways of taking Rappler effectively underground or abroad, or without actually having a footprint in the Philippines? I mean, obviously, it's probably something you don't really want to discuss, but have you thought about that? Given that vloggers can do whatever they like in the Philippines, is there a way of disbanding and going like digitally underground?
Is that you, Howard? Are you the one
Yes.
asking this question?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Let me put it this way, right? So remember how long ago this began for us? It began years ago, and on the Francis is more diplomatic than I am. What I will say is that the law has been weaponized against journalists, against news organizations, and you know that we're not the only ones that just felt it. Of course, how is it possible that the franchise of ABS-CBN was taken away in May of 2020, right? So the law is weaponized. That's a given. We still have a senator who spent her entire term mostly in jail. And so given that, if that's a given, then one of the things we had to do, and I say this all the time, embrace your fear, right? So we kind of thought through what are the worst things that could happen, what things will make us afraid, what things will, and then we began to workflow this. We began to think it, we began to touch it, and we began to, as some of you know, drill it. And that's okay. So the response, I guess, is, and of course, I can't, we're on quicksand. I think having Francis makes it feel like solid ground, and being optimistic is way better than being pessimistic, and hoping that the authorities, especially the incoming administration, will come in and strengthen rule of law. But we have plans A through Z. We will keep working.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Good luck. It's my last week here in the Philippines, so best of luck to you, everyone at Rappler. So.
Good luck wherever you go next, Howard.
Yeah, thank you.
It's all bad.
Do we have
Tawa-tawa kayo,
questions?
kala nyo,
Attorney
ligtas
Lim?
na kayo, ha?
Yeah, sorry because I have to go.
Okay. I think we have no more questions for Attorney Lim. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you very much. I think Maria has agreed to remain. No, sorry, Maria,
Yes.
and the team. No.
No, thank you, Francis. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, okay,
Thank
thank you.
you for your time, Attorney. Okay, we'll have a few more minutes with Maria because you also have to pull her out because she has other meetings to attend to today. Anyone who wants to ask questions muna on mic before we ask one of the questions that was sent in via chat earlier.
Tama ka dyan, Attorney Franz.
Hi, Bea, can I ask a question? If that's
Go
okay?
ahead, Karen.
Hi, Maria. I'm just curious. I know that you and Rappler, and I think everybody in this group know that you've been the target of intense social media hatred campaigns from the supporters of Duterte. How has it been like with regard to the supporters of the incoming administration? I've seen some of the, of course, the tweets, and they're really hideous. I mean, nothing can describe the intense trolling. It's very rabid, virulent, and I'm sorry that you had to go through this. But how has it been like for you and your team?
I mean, Karen, you were one of the first ones also, right? Like, we felt the tide change when information operations, that's concerted attacks, but then in the case of, say, Russia, and in some of the cases in the Philippines, I would almost call it information warfare, has been leveled against individual journalists, against news organizations, and that these things are meant to take you out. Right? Like, if you go by the UNESCO report, when they looked at the big data case study of the attacks against me, they looked at almost 500,000 social media attacks. 60% of the attacks were meant to tear down my credibility. I've just been around for 36 years. So I almost felt like, those leading up to the time when President Duterte took office, I had
Grabe, Ma'am
gone to
Esther,
the gym. I'd exercised. I knew why I was doing it. We knew why we set up Rappler. I mean, Rappler has a shareholders agreement where the journalists have economic control. We are the decision makers. 40% that I mentioned, and I know that women journalists here would have felt it, but even the men have gotten trolled. 40% was meant to tear down my spirit. What does it do? When you see the data and you realize what it's supposed to do, whatever it is you fear or whatever insecurity it was that you had, you learn to become stronger. It's probably not the greatest mental health thing, but you know, that Nietzsche quote, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I think that's happened. And then in terms of our people, you know this also. I mean, Pia Renada was 26 years old or so when she became an intense focus of attack. At that point, I was already in my 50s, so it's a little bit easier for me. But it's the younger journalists who are coming of age in this. This is not normal. This is impunity. We need to demand, and this is something we started saying in 2016, we need to demand an end to impunity of the drug war. That was one of the first things of Rodrigo Duterte. And we need to demand an end to impunity of Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook. These two things are enabled all around the world. There's, in 2020, Oxford Computational Propaganda Research Project said that in at least 80 countries around the world, cheap armies on social media were rolling back democracy. How did they do that? By attacking journalists, by attacking news organizations, by tearing down trust. So we can't give up.
Thank you, Maria. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, just was it the same? Is it the intensity is more or less the same? In the government, you know, I've seen its supporters also attack Rappler and you yourself. Do you see any difference at all? Did it even wane after the victory? Or it was just
Iba siya. It's like waves of the ocean, you know, and I would say there have been like maybe 10 different waves of, you know, they went from the first wave where they were so organized that they did it by demographics. Those are the three big kind of influencers. Please don't call journalists influencers. Journalists require courage. We don't do mob rule. Anyway, so it kind of wanes. One of the things that we did see most recently, and this was after the Nobel, after I came back from Oslo in December, around the 29th of December, I saw a spike of attacks on Twitter. And so what we did is we went to look at the data on Twitter, and we realized that spike of attacks, and it was pretty high. I can send you the slides or the story, was that when were these accounts created? And they're not going to do this again because it's so easy to find it. And I'm telling you how we found them, right? So these were newly created accounts that almost instantly attacked me. And then what we did is we these are pro-Marcos accounts. And then we looked at the anti-Marcos accounts and kind of looked at when they were created. And you can see that the anti-Marcos accounts were created at all different times. But the spike of the pro-Marcos accounts on the day that they were attacking me was kind of interesting. So we did a story that was in January, and within a few days, Twitter took down more than 300 pro-Marcos accounts. This is the hard part. We are getting gaslit. We as in journalists, if you point that out, then they will, whatever they're doing, they say you're doing. So they'll say, they lie, they lie, they lie. They're lying, right? And then that's the gaslighting part. And then you kind of supposedly have to defend yourself. We're not political players, but yet some Filipinos believe that we are political. These phrases of Bilawan, I try not to use any of these, or the pinks, or all these colors. I mean, look at DDS itself. Do you know how quickly they were able to turn Davao Death Squad to diehard Duterte supporters? It was less than 6 months. So that's the part that I think we can do better with, how our behavior is changed by social media, how social media's algorithms, an algorithm is just opinion and code, how these algorithms wear us down and literally change our behavior in the real world. They can't completely justify the vote, right? But the vote that we went through on May 9th is a combination in many ways of a failure of the trickle down factor, right? Our people didn't feel the trickle down economically. It was a tough time with COVID, and it was easier to sell a dream. And of course, Marcos just never really went away. The support has always been there. It isn't as if all the supporters went away overnight. I'm in Hawaii, right? Where there's probably a larger group. Anyway, I better not. So I'm just saying that our world has changed, and I think we need to call a spade a spade. We need to call it. If you're being gaslit, we need to say it. We journalists aren't so good at that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do we have any more questions? None? Siguro last na lang, Maria, from, you have one from Zandro here. At first now, it seemed that it perhaps referring to the case was filed to intimidate, or the decision was filed to intimidate Rappler for being critical. But did you think that they really wanted to shut down Rappler from the very beginning?
Look at how much we have lost. At the very beginning, I would never have thought this was possible. But let me remind again the context, right? Bulatlat, Alter Media, these sites and other sites that have already been blocked, they've been around for decades. And so again, these are new pushes. These are new, it's like having a bulldozer pushing through. And we need to kind of hold the line against that bulldozer. It isn't always easy because it creates new normals. Right? The same way that like in 2016, would I have thought that Filipinos could have been so ugly online, that we could hate so much, that there's so much anger? That's not normal in the Philippines, right? It wasn't that. And I'll tell you how I know also, because we had a mood meter. And before 2016, the top vote, the emotion that got the most votes in the Philippines was happy. So there's something that was artificially created. This is part of the reason I hold social media, these technology platforms, to account. They're literally changing our humanity. They are changing our culture. They are changing our actions in the real world. And if a strong democracy, a democracy with strong institutions like the United States, can actually have violence on Capitol Hill the way they did. And that violence was exactly the same way we're all being attacked, which is, the seeding of Stop the Steal or election fraud was seeded in August 2019. And then it was bottom up exponentially. You say a lie a million times, it becomes a fact. People began to believe it. Then it went with Steve Bannon, one of the guys behind Cambridge Analytica. And he was on YouTube, it spread. And then after that, Tucker Carlson from Fox picked it up. And then after that, it was QAnon that dropped it before coming top down from President Trump himself. So that's your bibingka. Kami, anong nangyari sa amin? We had journalist equals criminal was the meta-narrative that was seeded. And then after that, seeded in 2016 when we were being attacked, after a year, at the State of the Nation address, we were the first news group attacked, I believe, was the Inquirer. ABS was always thrown in, but in 2017, that State of the Nation address, it came top down with President Duterte, who attacked all three of us again. And then we got the first subpoena about a week after that. So it is what it is. The facts are there. And it's almost like for us as working journalists, we have to it's like treat it like pollution, breathe. We still have to keep breathing. We still have to keep working. But what we do today will determine the kind of democracy we will have, the kind of future we will have.
Thank you, Maria. If there are no more questions, we're gonna wrap up. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. We're about to end the broadcast now on Rappler and on other platforms. So thank you again for joining us today. If you have any other questions, you can field it to us via my number. Most of you have it already. And thank you again for joining us. Bye, everybody.
Maraming salamat, guys. Thanks for your time.
Alright, mga kabsat. Off na natin 'to. Ayun mga kamsan, napakinggan natin 'no. Medyo nagkakaroon sila ng konting chance. Pero wala na talaga guys, kahit umabot pa sila sa pag-a-appeal, gano'n din mangyayari. OMG, sino yung nagpag yan sabi ni Madlemi. Reza the Great Liar. Ayun 'no, sabi ni Sir Salvador. Hugas kamay mga Rappler. Tama. Go to the Rappler channel then report lie, content, and insulting to Sir BBM. The best yan. Sabi ni Madam Adlemi. Sir Maestro, pupunta ka ba sa inauguration? Hindi po, Sir Jimmy Season. Pahirapan ang pag-cover ngayon doon. Ngayon pa nga lang yung security talagang malupit. So hindi sila basta-basta nagpapapasok. Now you know lahat ng report sa Rappler na yan na not open na yan sa wall niya, di na ma-open for sure. Best RIP Rappler. Guys, may bago si Kamsat Ben Barubal. Ngayon lang. Kanina yung binanggit ni Sir Tony nasa 38 minutes ago. So fresh from the farm, entitled Goodbye. Fresh from the farm, entitled Goodbye talaga, no? Okay. Punta natin si Ben Barubal. Yan guys, kahapon. Tapos ngayon, bye-bye. Barubal time. Bye-bye.
You're ready to go. You're standing there outside your door. I want to wake you up to say goodbye. Bye-bye.
Sa mga politika natin wala yari kay Ben Barubal. Nandito na yung
Ito na naman tayo, Mamsat. Tatawanan na naman natin.
Kapag nakita ka niya, hayari kang talaga. Yung mga politikong di parehas sa bansang Pilipinas, pinipilas ng pinakamaangas nating bida na si Ben Barubal.
Alright, here we go.
Uy, bye-bye. Bye-bye you.
Bye-bye.
See you when I see you. Grabe, no? Parang nung kailan lang ang ingay nila. Ngayon, bye-bye na sila, no? Yan, ang kakapal kasi ng muka. Hindi na nga kayo Pilipino tapos ganyan pa kayo magbalita.
Ayan
Tapos sasabihin pa nito, most Marcos vloggers come from the poor. O ano ngayon ha? At least yung pagbablog marangal, di ba? Mas pipiliin na namin maging mahirap na vlogger kaysa mabuhay sa basurang balita. Kaysa naman mayaman ka nga, puro basurang balita naman yung alam. Hindi ka na nakakatulong tapos ang hilig mo pang mangielam. Umalis ka na sa bansa na to, baka pati yung award mo, ipukpuk ko sa'yo yan. Tapos ang sabi niya pa, a lot of them could only afford to finish high school. Utragis ka, ang tawag doon, partida. High school ba? Ikaw kung umasta parang grade school ka. Itong message mo, nakakatawa. Ang tanda mo na nag-asal bata ka pa. Kung talagang nakapagtapos ka, di umasta ka na nakapagtapos ka. Hindi yung magpo-post ka ng ganyan para kang sira. Tapos yung post mo na yan, sasapak sa sarili mong muka. Ben, anong ko lang, bakit ba kasi nagka-award yan? Baka ganyan talaga pag yung oligarchs namumuhunan. Anong tawag dyan? Mga banker ang tawag yan. Parang deal or no deal lang yan. Hindi nagpapakilala si banker, nakasiluwet lang yan. Malay mo, si banker, bumibili pa ng media yan. Ano yun? Para yung isang bansa makontrol niyan? Sino ba dati pinapakinggan ng tao? Media. Kung gusto mong makontrol yung isang bansa, saan ka mamumuhunan? Sa media? Gets mo ba yan? Wag mo kasing laliman, Ben, baka hindi maintindihan. Baka may umaray na naman, may tamaan. Yung mga tao dati bumabase sa media, totoo yun. Kaya media can control the world. Siguro dati yun. Buti na lang may mga vloggers na ngayon. Hindi katulad ng mga bias na media na yun. Bias media? Oo. Nasira yung imahe ng media dahil sa mga yun. Sinong yun? Basta yun. Kaya bilang na lang ang mga medyang pagkakatiwalaan ngayon. Tulad ng Net25, SMNI, UNTV, Mata ng Agila sa PTV. Utragis na yan, Pag talaga nakikita ko to, babay na, Hindi pa nga kami nag-iinit, babay na agad to. Hoy, mag-vlog na lang kayo tapos magbarubalan tayo. Ano? Ha? Ano? Pakita mo yung pinag-aralan mo. Pakita ko rin sa'yo yung pinag-aralan ko. Ano ba course mo? Baka wala yan sinabi sa course ko. Sa course ko, bira nakakaligtas dito. Pasensya na, natatawa tayo, Sira ulo kasi to, no? Labanan ba ng course to? Mawalang galang lang magsitabi ko kayo. May ilalang paso lang ako.
Guys, sa mga bagong pasok, huwag kalimutan mag-like and
street
subscribe.
course. O ano? Ano? Lahat ng klaseng tao makakasama mo. Patatalasin ka parang bagong hasang bolo. Ito yung course na yung isang paa mo nasa hukay. Dahil sa kahirapan, wala kang magagawa kundi lumaban at sumabay. Hindi porket mahirap ka, hindi mo na mahal ang bayan. High school ba? Subukan mong sabihin kay Gat Andres Bonifacio yan. Kung high school lang ang tinapos, bakit ka kabado? Naniniwala ka bang kayang talunin ng madiskarte ang edukado? Ikaw mayaman? Pag tinanggalan ka ng pera tapos dinala ka sa malayo, baka matamemi ka. Yung mahirap, walang pera, pag dinala mo sa malayo, baka pumito pa.
Ibang-iba talaga si Kabsat Ben Barubal, no?
Ganyan ang street course. Mahirap pero masaya. Malalaman mo lang graduate ka na pag yung pagsubok kaya mo nang isiping biyaya. Tandaan mo, Ramba, hindi pinag-uusapan dito yung pinag-aralan. Ang pinag-uusapan dito kung gaano mo kamahal yung bayan. Kung mahal niyo yung bayan, lalayas kayo rito. Pwera na lang kung kasing tigas ng hollow blocks yung mukha nyo. Sila yung virus na mahirap matanggal. Hindi vaccine ang gamot dyan, barubal. Kasi kung may medya-medyahin lang natin yan, hindi yan matatauhan. Dapat sa mga putragis na yan, pinupuruhan. Malaking pagkakamali nyo pag nag-switch kayo sa pagiging vlogger. Pag nakita ko kayo sa kalsada, yung camera nyo ipupukpok ko sa gutter. Masalamat kayo, birthday ni Utol Old School Pinoy ngayon.
Happy birthday,
Kaya
Old
Rappler,
School
magsilayas na kayo
Pinoy!
hanggat malamig pa ulo ko ngayon. Kaya ngayong araw na to, malulungkot yung mga salot. Alam mo sikreto para maging masaya? Huwag ka malungkot. Kayo pa malulungkot? Nagkapera nga kayo sa basurang balita. O nga pala, may pera sa basura. Basurang balita. So, ano kayo ngayon, ha? Shut up na, shutdown pa. Asar na, talo pa. May tax evasion na, may libel pa. May fraud pa, saan ka pa? Tapos Nobel Peace Prize Award. Dapat dyan, triple case award. O kaya, mega bail award. Kaya, hoy, pinapasara na kayo. Magsialis na kayo, maiya naman kayo. Saka papasok na yung UBIP. Magsitabi kayo. Magsitabi-sabi kayo. Yan, gusto niyo pa ako nagagalit eh. Di ba sabi mo may pinag-aralan kayo? Bakit isasara kayo? May pinag-aralan tapos isasara? Huwag mo sabihin, ang bagsak nila, YouTube na.
Vlogger na
Sinuhin mo,
talaga.
fact-checker ka, tapos parang na-fact-check ka. Tapos scholar ka, parang na-dropout ka. Kung yung iba naka-finish lang ng high school, pero mas nakakahiya ka. Ang taas ng pinag-aralan mo, tapos back to zero ka. Ben, tama na Ben. O sige na, ilayo mo na yan. Gusto ko yung hindi natatanaw ng mata ko yan. Napakatigas na ng mukha mo pag nag-appeal ka pa. Ang kulit mo, Bin. Kaya maawa ka sa sarili mo, wag ka na mag-appeal. Bahala ka nga. Kasi sa masa wala ka ng ka-appeal-appeal. O gusto mo tong mapil. Tapos pag pinapakilala ng bias to, meron pang Nobel Peace Prize, laureate. Ang pangit. Yung mukha niya parang award niya, ang sarap isabit. Tapos pag si Tito Bongbong pinapakilala, lagi may anak ng diktador. Anak kayo ng bulate.
Naman, yes.
Iiyak kayo sa akin para
Son
kayong
of the
nag-labor.
dictator, mga ganyan.
Sa
di ba?
mga politika na
Ayan na, nabarubal na naman ni Ben Barubal, mga kapsat. Grabe. Salamat, Ben.
Sa kanila
Ayan eh.
kapag nakita ka niya, hayari kang talaga. Yung mga politiko
Magkakasunod yan, no?
sa bansang
Salot,
Pilipinas,
mga salot.
ang pinakamaangas nating bida na si
Ayan eh.
Ben Barubal.
If you're like me and you really want to be efficient when it comes to writing and editing your papers, I definitely recommend that you download Grammarly, your own digital writing.
Alright. Sir, walang sounds. Nag-mute kasi ako, bigla ko kasi makaka-copyright tayo dun sa harang na yun. Anyway, so yun mga kabsat, no? So mag-a-appeal nga sila. Then, yun nga na, sinasabi ni CEO Maria Ressa na, ayan, hindi daw sila kaaway. Kundi katulong daw ng bayan. Ayun eh. Para maging mas maunlad daw ang bayan. My God! Di ba? Ulitin ko guys, ang sabi niya, I hope for the best. We can only hope for the best, and given to the track record of the campaign, given to the track record of 36 years, I think the burden of proof is actually on the incoming administration. I continue to appeal to the incoming administration to work with journalists. We're here to help you and give a better future for the Philippines. Wow! To give a better future for the Philippines. We're not your enemies, sabi ni Maria Ressa, guys. Ayan, mga kabsat, talagang no? Nakakatawa kasi gumagawa sila. My God. Matatawa ka na lang kasi parang nag-iba ang ihip ng hangin, mga kakabsat, no? Shoutout Mami Peng. Mami Peng is in the house, mga kakabsat. Again, shoutout Mami Peng. Ayan eh. Budoy yan, sir. Baduy. Ayan tayo eh. Patay tayo dyan. Yan, nakita ba ng buo? Ayan. Pasa ng konti. O yan guys. Anong masasabi nyo? Ano magiging reaction? Rappler, you don't hold the future to give us. Sabi naman Sir Salvador. Exactly. Maestro, deserve nilang ma-terminate. Sabi ni Love Pinas. Ayun nga eh. Pero syempre, no? Nasa end bank pa naman yun, guys, no? So, we all know na meron pa rin yung Court of Appeals. Meron pa rin yung Supreme Court. Tulad ng ginawa ng mga ibang nag-petition kay BBM na binasura sa end-bank. Tapos, nag-Court of Appeals, binasura ulit. Tapos, tinaas sa Supreme Court na binasura ulit. So, mahaba lang yan. Pinapahaba lang yung kwento, kumbaga, no? Pero in short, guys, no? At least natuldukan na. No? Nabigyan na ng decision from the lower court. Parang ganyan ang tawag na rin sa Court of End-bank ng COMELEC. So, ayan guys, no? And ang latest na balita mo actually today yan eh. Nag-con yan kaninang umaga habang naka-live yung mga ibang kasama natin. Tapos paggising natin, nakita natin sa feeds, ayan, no? Talagang nagbigay ng statement ang tawag nito, ang End-bank. Ayun, no? My God. Ayan. Hello, Maestro. Watching from UK. Thumbs up, Don. Maraming salamat, Ma'am Helen. Ayun na. Illegal silang nag-operate, sabi ni Ma'am Love Pinas. Ayan. Pero pagpakakuan natin, guys, no, if we try to may consequence kasi yun, dalawa. Pag talagang totally guys, pag totally wala na, no. Nakita niyo naman yung building ng Rappler, no? Yung mga pinapakita sa feeds, no? Marami silang trabahador doon. Once nag-close yan, the same with ABS-CBN. Once nag-close yan, tanggal lahat. Wala na silang trabaho. Eh, magiging vlogger na lang silang lahat. Kanya-kanya sila ng channel. Ayan, gagaya na sila sa trend ng mga bagong media. Ayan eh. Eh, paano naman kasi? Wala na silang ibang ginawa kundi manira. They keep on, creating issues na imbes na tutulungan nila yung administration, ano ginagawa nila. Naghahanap lang sila ng butas. Okay? Especially during the time of PRRD at ngayon, PBBM. Pero nung panahon ni Pinoy, hindi naman nila ginagawa yan. Kaya talagang iyak talaga sila. Tama, Ma'am Love Pinas, iyak na si Rambo, speaking of the devil. Yang Rambo na yan, no, talagang, mo kung saan kumukuha ng kapal na muka. Di ba? So, yun mga kabsat. So, eto na, nag-a-appeal na sila, para silang masyadong maamong tupa na yun daw, kaibigan sila, hindi sila enemy. Tapos ayun. Pero kita naman guys, no, ever since nag-start nag-start yung campaign ni BBM, no, nag-start na silang umatake, ganyan. Kasi ganun talaga style nila kasi meron silang pinapaboran na kandidato at alam na natin kung sino yun. Na hanggang ngayon hindi pa rin maka-move on. Hanggang ngayon hindi pa nga nagko-concede, di ba? Last day na nga niya ngayon eh, last night. Ang sama naman nun, last night. Ayun nga mga kapsat. So again, eto po, no, talagang how do you call this, talagang karma is real. Ayan, karma is digital, sabi naman ng iba. Klaro lang po, sir, na tumatawag na ng journalist si Ressa. Hindi siya journalist. Isa rin po siyang vlogger kaya may mga nag-finance na taga-ibang bansa. Ayun, according to Ma'am Esther Gutierrez. Oh, possible yun guys, no? Talagang Tapos, Wala rin naman silang channel TV. So, anong tawag sa kanila, 'di parang vlogger na rin lang kasi nakikita lang sila sa YouTube, sa Facebook. Gano'n lang yung source nila. So, karma is really digital and real according to Mylene B. Ayan, shout out Ma'am Mylene B, shout out. Ayan, sa'yo naman Sir Salvador Boras. Rappler, better go home, leave us alone here on Earth. Go to Mars where you belong. Ay, gravity talaga. Oo nga. Wala na talaga guys, wala na. Alam niyo naman yan talagang ano, so agree tayo. Lahat ang daming galit guys. Tapos kanina nakita rin natin yung ang tawag nito, yung trust, yung bagong trust rating na talagang ano, nakakagulat din. 'Di ba? Bagong nilabas 'to ng Publicus guys. Kalalabas ng Publicus. Ito, oh, i-re-share ko ulit, guys 'no. So nilabas 'to ng Publicus mga kabsat. Punta tayo sa highest, total low, yung pinakamababa, total low. Nangunguna diyan with 41% si Rappler, siyang number 1 diyan. Ayan oh, red na red oh, 'yan oh, 41. Siya lang top low. Oh, 'di ba? Susunod diyan ABS-CBN, 35. Ayan oh, ABS-CBN. Tapos dito rin guys 'no. No bias, no trust, low trust, moderate trust, high trust. Mas may tiwala sila, tingnan niyo guys, sino pinakamalaking tiwala nila dito? Based on record, wait. May tiwala sila sa CNN, 31. May mas mataas pa ba sa 31? Wala. SMNI, ano number niya? 19. Ang Rappler, may tiwala ba sila? 14. Tapos may 11, Politico, ayan. Abante, 12. Pero pagdating sa total guys, sa total talaga. Sa total tayo magkakalayo eh. Kung bakit lumipat. So, this is a study conducted by Publicus Asia. So, ito na guys. Kitang-kita. Tapos ang most trusted nila dito, CNN, 46. Pagdating sa Rappler, 21. Tinalo pa siya ng SMNI which is 33 ang tiwala. Total high 33. Ayan. Tapos pagdating naman sa ABS-CBN, ano ba yung 33 din sa ABS-CBN. Ayan 33. Itong first 33 no. Ayan, 33. Lumilipat. Ano nangyayari do'n? Okay. Baka naklik-click ko 'to. Ayan mga kabsat, so based on the latest result, yesterday 'to. Talagang ano, lagapak na naman ang Rappler dito kaya dapat lang talaga dapat lang siguro 'no, na alam na this. Actually they really deserve this because of what they are doing for the several months, years na imbes na tumulong, sinisira nila. Karma is digital and real. Okay, bye Maestro. Salamat sa agimat. Agimat anay si Lenlen den Tutang. Yes, maraming salamat Mama Lemmy. Ayan So, ayan mga kabsat. So, wala na tayong magagawa. Ganyan lang talagang ganyan talaga mag-rest back ang karma sa mga taga-Rappler. Especially na talagang kung paano sila manira. Not only with the administration, pati sa mga tumutulong sa administration. Like yung mga vloggers, BBM vloggers. And of course, meron naman talaga silang option 'no, na mag-appeal. Pero siyempre mahabang proseso 'yan. At siyempre naging naging malaking tinik na sa kanila 'yan kasi nga nagbigay na ng ruling ang NBank. Alright. So, ayan mga kabsat, no, napag-usapan lang naman natin ang parang ibang tono ng Rappler pagkatapos nung pagbigay nila ng, ang tawag nito, nagbigay sila ng ruling regarding sa court ruling. Nag-iba ang ihip ng hangin. So, bigla silang bumait daw. Bumait nga ba? Kaso ang problema guys, no, wala na, na talaga. Nakatatak na. Pero tingnan natin. Let's see. Bilog daw ang mundo guys. Kaya, let's see. Naku po, this is it, pansit. Sa lahat ng mga pinagagawa na for several years, ito na. Karma is real. So again guys, maraming salamat po, no. Thank you very much and almost kasama 1 hour 40 minutes. So i-steady ko lang hanggang matapos lang ng 2 hours then i-off ko na po. So again, thank you very much Ma'am Anthony. Sir Anthony Franz, Ma'am Alin Bautista, shout out. Sir Froilan Alcantara is in the house, shout out po. Sir Salvador, Ma'am Lemik, Ma'am Mylin B, Sir Esther, ka-BBM, Love Pinas, Helen Makatiag, Mami Peng, shout out again. Relax ka lang. Mega love shout out. Anthony France, Sir Jimmy Season, Magnum TV, Kabsat, Magnum TV. At sa lahat po ng mga nandito guys, no. Again, sa mga silent viewer natin dyan na nakikinig lang. Again, thank you very much. So according to Sir Froilan, no need or no, don't give them a chance, sabi naman. Tama, wag nang pagbigyan. Kasi alam nyo, guys, mamimihasa yan. Di ba? Pagkatapos ng lahat-lahat ng ginawa nyo kay BBM, tapos ganyan, sasabihin nyo, you're not your enemies. Tapos sasabihin nyo, here, we're here to help you. Ayan, no? Tutulungan daw nila si BBM to help you to give a better future for the Philippines. Oh my gulay. Umiba ang ihip ng hangin. Diba? Umiba ang ihip ng hangin mga kabsat. Again, thank you very much. Good night. So I will abangan na lang natin guys, so maaga-aga tayong magpre-prepare tayo para sa inaugurations ni BBM. So maaga-aga tayo, so as early as siguro mga 8:30 or 8. Umpisa na natin kasi kailangan natin mag-research. Kailangan natin mag-research ng mag-search ng mga ilalabas nating video bukas. Lalo na yung iba naman, alam naman, very obvious, pero syempre nag-iingat tayo, no, baka ma-copyright tayo. Alam niyo naman. Parang yung ginagawa ko kanina, pinapakita ko, sulyap-sulyap lang yung mga video kasi hindi pwedeng ipakita lahat. Pwede tayong copyright ng crap. Alam niyo yung crappler nang Diba? God bless, Sir Paul. Thank you sa mga kaalaman. Mabuhay tayong lahat, mga ka-BBM, sabi ni Alin Bautista. Who are you, Ressa? Hallelujah. Alright guys, so thank you very much. So, kita-kits na lang tayo bukas sa ating next President of the Philippines. Thank you and good night. Have a nice night. Good night.